Hey, let's get started. So today is going to be about the great form Smashup. So this is a request from a student, again in the UK, and this was a request to show or to demonstrate, so students could draw along what is meant by form manipulation and putting two or more kind of simple geometric type of forms together to make whatever. And we're just going to play around with this and have fun with this one and not really draw anything so hardcore from from observation, but just have fun with it and kind of just free form it around and see what happens. So we're going to use the sphere over here, right? We always have these tools that we want to use and communicate with. So we've got the sphere here. So today I'm using the Cintiq Wacom, the 22 inch screen, high def touch. Okay, so we've got our little sphere here, and we'll put it down on a little table or have a little cast shadow in through there. Here. And so there's our sphere. And our next tool is we always have, right, is our cube. So you can draw these out, have these. I do these just to remind everybody of what's going on, what we're doing through here. And so I'll draw my 2-point little box form, running the left plane, drawing the left plane over and through here. Whoops, there we go. And then back over here, and then go over and close it here, and close it up through here. And then of course our trusty cylinder, we always want that as well. And then I'll probably throw in some cones and some pyramids and whatnot, and we're just going to go, I may keep it, really kind of abstract. Maybe I should throw the cone in here as well so we can see it. And really this is just about making kind of whatever kind of happens. It's not pre-planned or anything, and let's just see what kind of fun we have. So draw along if you want, and then when you get the hang of it, go for your own set of your ideas. All right, so here's our tools. So we've got our tools in through here for a great form Smashup. So what does that mean? Well, I could start anywhere. I could start just drawing a simple form. I might draw over here in the left corner a simple kind of maybe a tube slightly coming out this way, right? So we've got that, and put my tube down, and then it might morph into something or have like a part of a sphere on the other side of it, so that's kind of jammed up against it. So I might draw the actual sphere here, right? And have that, so it's got a little nodule maybe on one side and a nodule on the other. So if I come back and say, okay, now I want to blacken this in or darken this in, let's see what kind of form it starts to make and how I can mold these together. So this might slide over a little bit like so. This might slide through, and so I can kind of blend. It's kind of like you're stretching like a cloth or a fabric or a piece of rubber maybe over the top of them. And so I can blend this over, if you were a gloss over that, and this might stretch over to make a little bit more 3D. This could be kind of toned, right, and shaded downward a little bit, like so. So we have that. In through here, and all of a sudden I've got a new set of these geometric sort of organic forms. So if I threw a little bit of light on it, maybe it's coming from this direction, I can say, okay, well, I can start to shade it this way, right? Shade it over here, and I might shade it down this way a little bit, but this has got a little extra hub, so it's going to feel, we're going to feel this coming over and around this way. Okay, so this might have a shadow over and through here. So we're just using rudimentary light ideas too as well. And this might tone in kind of down in through there. Or I could go with a wider nib. Maybe it'd be a little bit easier to throw some light across it. We could do that. A little shadow in through here like so. And we start to have our first kind of little form emerging from, what was that, a cylinder and two little spherical forms to have a little fun with the ideas that we're trying to smash up here. So let's go on to another one and let's see what we can do a bit bigger. So maybe we'll have, let's see, maybe kind of a boxy form. We'll start out with a boxy form in through here. Maybe it's going to do something like that. And I'm just winging it, just seeing what the possibilities of creative idea making can do for me. So I've got a simple kind of box in through here, and if I want, I can kind of tighten it up, if you will, and through here, and through here, and through here, right? Be really sketchy with it, and through here. So I definitely make a plain distinction, you know, right in through here as it starts to come down. So I'll sketch these out in a lighter color, and then I can darken them up later on. So this kind of moves down in this direction, right? And we have that plane change and break. So I could take something like maybe a cone and put a cone, I could jam a cone in my conceptual idea form thinking and put a cone over in through here, right? And so we can have this kind of moving over, kind of a geometric base, but then maybe all of a sudden we have sort of a cylindrical form that could merge out of here. So I could start to imagine the cylinder maybe coming in that direction. So I can say, okay, that moves there, that moves there, and maybe the ending elliptical part of it, of the cylinder, is maybe in through there. So I could have that. And so maybe let's take one or two more. Let's take the idea of the sphere right in through here and make it a little bit more of an egg form in through here, and just see the back of it as I feel this space. And I can draw through a little bit. So don't be afraid to draw. You can draw lighter, of course. Draw light in through there. And I could take my eraser and just, okay, I could lighten it up just a little bit if I wanted, so we can see it a little bit more transparently. Right in through there. I kind of took that out, didn't it? There we go. Okay. Let's go back to black here. And let's see what kind of happens. So that might stay a little bit geometric, but we could kind of curve this around. This could kind of come over a little bit. So we've got these subforms in now our little abstract forms that we're making. Okay, and through here, this might come out a little bit. This might even pull over the contour line like so. And through there, this might wrap around. And through here, then we could come back and maybe curve that out, and then so we could curve this right in through here, and then maybe make this a little bit more soft in through there. This might stretch in through there, then stretch around like so, kind of come in. And this would be maybe a little bit more strongly pushed, and of course everything then would push downward like so, maybe in this direction, kind of like that. And then we could come up here and say, okay, this was a little bit more straight, and we could kind of keep the nature of the cone in through here. And of course you can make it longer, you could round, I could round it a little bit. There's a lot of options. There's just tons of options, more so than we could probably ever get to. So this could start coming right and start to feel rounded in through here. And we might feel just the hint of this form, this blocky form, coming out this way and over in that way like so. Then if we're going to light it, we could light these a little bit and have a little bit more fun, so you could see it even further. So I might say, okay, let's light it a little bit from the light direction coming over in that way, and kind of see what happens. So I can come back and say, okay, let me take a little bit bigger nib so I can go really quickly with it. That might be nice. And just see what happens here. So, okay, I can throw some tone over and through here. This might get soft. And through here, softer kind of edge. This might be now a little darker. Could throw that on there darker, like so. Have a little shadow on this side. And so we're taking what? What are we doing? We're taking 4 forms, and we are merging them together in ways to create, a newer form. And you're going to do this. You'll do this if you're not already. You're doing it all over your own drawings to come up with creative solutions to your drawing problems. Whether you're drawing a shoe or a doll, or a figure, or an automobile, or a building, or drapery, or whatever it's going to be, you're going to find that you're going to be using all kinds of abstract kind of form connections, or what we call form mashup, what I call kind of form mashup, to kind of really make these nice and believable and whole. And so if the light source maybe was coming from this top direction, I might say, okay, I could put a little more of a cast shadow down below. So I might say, okay, maybe it flows this way. We can actually make it a realized form down on the surface of something, and it might move kind of in, I don't know, maybe in this kind of direction. And we could start to throw a little shadow tone on it through here, and then come back and maybe make this a little darker, and so on. And we can start to maybe make, really make these smash ups, right, even more 3D, more three-dimensional. Now we have something that's really starting to kind of emerge as a new kind of object, some kind of, abstract but geometric, kind of formation in space. Tighten this up a little bit and through here, but still keeping it pretty loose. This is kind of a definitive plane, so I might come back and say, okay, this has got a little bit more of a crosshatch look here, just in through there. Or you could have kept this plane a little softer if you want. There are many different ways to kind of do that as well. So put a little bit of more cross-hatching there. Then I could come back, and if this edge here of my tube, I could come back and give this a little bit of a stronger edge right in there if I want, just to make that sit and turn planes. So what are we talking about too? We're talking about turning planes. We're talking about changing directions, really quickly with these form smash ups, right? So we're talking about curving over here, right? Then we're talking about curving, then coming back up the box form, up and through here, and then changing directions, and then changing another direction on the box form, and then going from a boxy form, then all of a sudden back to, a curvy form right over here, and then over, and then back down right this way. And so you're going to see that all the time on the figure. So this is really a preparatory kind of exercise for drawing the model, drawing the figure, drawing more complex kinds of forms. And it really is a fun and fantastic exercise. I would keep a separate sketchbook and do this kind of thing, all the time, where you're just exercising the basic volumes in solids. So you'll be able to recognize them even further when you start to draw more complex forms like the figure. So there we go. So we've got another Smashup drawing there. So let's see what we can come up with in our next drawing together here. So let's take another. Let's go back to our red color. So let's see what that was. That was FF, then 6E, just to be consistent. Okay. So let's take. How about a pyramid? We'll make a pyramid here, and we'll push it out. I'll sketch it out here, like so. Since we know how to make them, and we'll come back maybe in this direction, like so, and through here. Then I'll tighten it up a little bit. Here, and there. And there to there and down. So we have that. Then we could put maybe another one kind of coming out maybe in a slightly different direction. So maybe I'll point it out here, and so it comes here. Here's the end of it. It's a little foreshortened, right? And maybe we'll see it down here and down over where it could connect up to that one. So it's a little bit different in perspective, okay? So we have something kind of like, it almost reminds me of maybe something like wings, right? And then maybe we put a sphere here, right? And so let's draw the whole thing in through. I'll do a better job maybe than the last one I did. And we'll just start to play around with this. So I've got now a sphere in through here, and I could do a lot of things. How does it sit in through there? Well, maybe it sits, here's the center of it coming down, right in through, I don't know, here on this globe part, right in through there. And then maybe in there sits another sphere that emerges outwards. So it kind of sits in there somewhere. I don't know yet. I'm just having fun making up stuff, really, just to demonstrate and show you what the possibilities are. So we might have that. So we have that as a form. And then we might even throw a cone back in through here. So I'll take the cone here from my toolkit over here, right? And I'll say, okay, maybe the cone sits like that, and it could somehow later on connect up with that ball. And maybe the back of it's going to sit, if we were seeing through the sphere, right, it would see like that. So the more that you can draw through, the more that you can be transparent with your drawings. Because you can see over here with this little study, you see the red lines coming through. You want that for now to show, hey, what am I doing with these forms? How am I conceiving these forms? And that way you can build off of your mental conceptual framework of your forms, and they can be more solid and more 3D, and that's what we're getting at. So let's take maybe another cylinder could be here connected somehow and coming out maybe like that. And here's the ending part of the cylinder here, and maybe one on the other side coming out in this direction. So we might see the opening here on this side, and then of course it gets closed on the other side, so we don't see it. So let's see what we can make with that. So let's go back now to a dark, and let's see what I've wrought myself into doing. All right, so I'm going to take this form, and I like to do it when I do these is to like curve the edges. So it's like a rubber coming over, so it's a little bit smooth transition. But when you need a hard edge, like if I wanted to come over here and say, okay, that's a hard edge, I might take my ruler. So I've got my triangle with the Wacom tab, and I can say, okay, I definitely wanted that to be a hard edge, and I definitely wanted that to be a hard edge for sure. I wanted that. But then I wanted this one to kind of emerge curved and kind of soft, just because I can, right in through there, and maybe that's going to transition softer down over, and I'll let it flow over the cylinder like so, right, and through here. And so this is going to emerge soft and through maybe, right, like that, and then down. But maybe I want this end to be softer. So this is a definite plane change, right? I'm telling myself this form, but I'm going to curve it in through here, curve it over. But all of this might come over, and as I come, if I do a little cross-hatching, shading in the beginning, this would be all right in shadow a little bit, but this might start to flutter in this way, curve over, right? So it's curving, 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 kind of coming like that. And then when it hits this tube, it might just jump over like so. And then I could show the hatching like so, kind of coming over. And I could go length too as well, before we get into maybe a little bit more volume. So I've got that. And let's come around this ball inside where it can really get fun. And so all this comes down now, or I could start to tone it, cross-hatch it a little bit this way, right? Moving, so just to show my viewer that that's kind of shaved downward. This comes over, and then this comes in like that. Give yourself little arrow directions. Tell yourself what you're doing while you're doing it. This moves in that direction. So you're playing with these, you're smashing all of these forms together to fit. And I would suggest not trying right now to make anything that's of the natural, world. Try not to make a cereal bowl, for instance, or a beer stein, or your favorite hat or shoe or whatever it is, or Fido or your dog or whatever. But later on we can get there, right? But I want you just to have fun in this basic section playing around with geometric forms. They're not 2D, right? They're definitely 3D. They're 3D forms, and we are jamming them, smashing them. We're doing the great form smash up. And that means that we're interjecting them in places where they may not necessarily, you may not have thought they needed to be before, just to have a conceptual framework of what is possible. So maybe this ball now that was sticking over here jammed in through, right? Curved this over like so, and then out, and then kind of over like that to make it a little bit more of a rounder form in through there. Then I can come over and say, okay, maybe it attached a little bit down through there even further. All right, so we have that. Maybe there's a little highlight there, so where this could come underneath and be a little bit more of a rounded form. So we have a rounded around here, so this would come over, right, and then this would come over that way. Talk to your, well, I don't know if you want to talk to yourself, but your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whoever, your friends might think you're crazy, but as you're drawing in your mind, you're saying that comes over this way, that comes over that way, to give yourself more of a conceptual idea and framework. So let's work this bottom here and here, okay, and then maybe I'll point this out a little bit more, slight kind of point. Now this divot's in, right? So we had that hard edge divot in here, and of course it came through the sphere right in through there, so it curved back and it got kind of harder edge. Now if we come up here, where do we kind of hit the ball at? If we dug in through here like a little divot, I might say, well, this ball might come over and it stays really rounded. Maybe it influences this. This could get really complex in through here. And so it created a round going into a square plane. That's not easy to communicate running through there. So this is another great reason why this exercise can be excellent. Through here. And over, so we have a round, right, going into another round there. So let's see if I can clean up the bottom of this here. Okay, and so we'll take this around the top through here. And I'll play with a little contour line, make a little darker where I need, a little lighter where I need. And so this cone area can come out from this rounded area, and it goes behind a little bit and kind of captures in through here So this comes, this ball kind of form comes around, and so we might make the turn of this cone like so. As we're doing our drawing and through here. And so this, since we're going to shade this in a minute a little bit, so we would forget it, we wouldn't see these as much. Now, just in terms of direction, this we might shave this. When I say shade, I mean hatch. Talk like a sculptor too, shading down or shaving, and that gives us a dimension there as well. And so we'll come out and say, let's finish this bottom part with our cylinder, really curve and stretch this. Now, does it come inside? Does this break in? So let's make it break in a little bit. So it curves over like so. And that might pull a stress or a stretch over here. So we're using the idea of stretching through, compressing through, and bending and altering these forms out into here like so, and then I can curve this through and around. Keep that kind of sketchy for now. I'll show you that where that slices through there. Tighten this up around here. And so that curves on through. And of course this is going to be rounded. The cylinder is going to come around like so. Okay, so there we go. So we've got now our new form that's emerged from our mashup, our smash up of new forms. So let's take a little bit of stock of it and say, okay, why don't we have the light maybe coming kind of where I'm sitting? Maybe it's coming out here a little bit. You can already see a setup, maybe this way and maybe this way, where you could just play with kind of imaginary multiple light sources a little bit. So I'll take my nib and I'll bump it up to a bigger thickness, and we'll take this opacity down a little bit. Could do a little bit better job maybe. And so I think this is important to see now, where we can make the shading a little bit more 3D, or make the form more 3D through shading, and help you see this kind of madness, this sort of creative fun madness that we're doing as well. So we'll give a little shadow over here. So if the light source is kind of coming from this bottom area over and through here, maybe this goes a little bit darker. You can soften that in. You can kind of curve it around if you want. Like so. I kind of curve this around. A little bit darker in through here. Okay, so that starts to give us a round kind of feeling already. And so this plane, we've already kind of got it darker, which is kind of nice. So we'll have it dark in through here. Kind of tone this in a little further, like so. It may be over here on the cone kind of form, like so. And I'm going to put a little shadow on the sphere up here too as well. Kind of run it maybe down a little bit, not as dark as the other, and then start to lighten it up. Maybe put a little bit more over and through here just for effect. Keep it kind of sketchy in through there, and then maybe run a little bit of lighter cross hatching in through here, just so you can see it. I'm just kind of running my ruler across with the pen nib, the Wacom pen nib, just to give it a little bit of an example, or give it a little, example of coming down the form a little bit. And I might even tone this down just a little, right in through there, this hub of the cylinder. Right in through there as this turns across and over a little bit. And there we go. We've got another, form smash up in our drawing. And they're still, what's interesting about these is that they're starting to get hidden, but they still emerge, don't they? We could still see them, pretty clearly in our composition. I'm going to take my pen nib down quite a bit. And I'll put a little tighter line around some of these just to clean up the edge a little bit. Go stronger with my opacity. And through here. And kind of tighten these up just a little bit here. In here. So I think the next one we'll do once I finish this out is we'll do one where let's see where we can smash up so many that it's even kind of harder to recognize them coming out. I think that'll be our next goal. So what I'm doing now in my drawing is I'm tightening up the edges. I'm using my my hard edge, a triangled ruler, see-through by the way, so I can see on the screen. I'm using my Wacom, my pen, stylus pen, and I'm just going over some edges, not all of them, and I'm trying to be mindful of what line thickness and darkness as I can. See how it just gives it a little bit more crispiness to the composition or the drawing itself a little bit. So I'm gonna raise this one up a little bit so I can get at it a little bit better right here. And if you're drawing traditionally, great. Sometimes I'll do some of these in the Wacom tablet. Sometimes I'll do the same assignment as some of you are probably knowing in just traditional material. I think it's good to see both, and quite frankly, it's good to do both. I have less experience with the Cintiq, and I'm enjoying working with it and learning with it as well. But I'll say for everybody out there, if you're learning to draw, I get into traditional materials more than the Wacom tablet or the Cintiq tablet first. Don't abandon it by any means, but if you can get there first, great. I think that's more important. I think most accomplished artists who use drawing as a practice will tell you that, most of them. But maybe not all, I'm not sure. So I'm coming back up, tightening this up and through here, and it just gives it a crispiness. And I could come back over here where this little core shadow is and throw a little extra contour line just to say this moves around a little bit. This can move down a little bit. That's one thing I don't like. I keep hitting the tip of my pen, so I'm learning to control that as well. So you get to see all my foibles, which is good. We're all imperfect, not a problem. So this kind of comes around. This might even get straight in through, jam in through there just a little bit, which could kind of be cool, whatever that is. And through here, who knows? Later on, this could be a Star Wars, robot or some kind of android. I don't know. We were lucky here in Cincinnati. We just had at the museum center, we had the Star Wars costume exhibit and some of their wonderful concept drawings here within the last month or two. This is September of 2017, and so it was a great show to have and to use the imagery to show my students. There we go. Okay, I think that's just about it. No, I lied to you. I fibbed. Right in through here, I want to finish this up. Here we go. Kind of really make this rounder. Really want to get that rounder. Turn, really force my hand to get this even turned rounder so it does that. Then I think we're just about there in composition. So there we go. So now that was my the next form smash up through there. So we'll take it down a little bit and see what we've got so far. So we've got now two forms. So I think the next one I want to do to show you is let's try to do one where we're using our toolkit up here with the sphere, the cube, the cylinder, the cone, the pyramid. And let's see if we can do one now that is even more of a a kind of a hidden smash up. And I'll go back on this one, and let's see if I can put like a little highlight dot maybe right in through here. So maybe the light was hitting really strongly in through here, and I can put a little highlight right in there, make it a little bit better. That might do. Soften it up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer, and maybe a little bit of a glistening highlight back here a little bit. Play with that just a little bit, and maybe one right there, just have a little fun, extra fun in through there. That made it look a little bit better. Okay, so let's move on to another, and let's see what we can do now with making it even more hidden. See if I can even do it. I'm not sure I can do it, so I'll give it my best shot. All right, so let's go back to our color, which was FF6E6E. You can use any color you want if you're working at home, traditionally or non-traditionally. I just want to keep it nice and consistent for you. All right, so let's move up here a little bit. Let's break in and see what we can do. So let's see how well now I can hide more of my forms. It's going to be tough. I don't know if I can do it, so we'll give it a shot. All right, so about 35, 36, 7%, and let's see where nib is. It looks pretty good at 19. I'll keep it there. All right, so let's see what can happen. What do I want to start out with? And again, this is exactly how I'm starting out with. I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do. All right, so maybe I'll start this whole thing out with like an egg form. So the whole thing. So the whole object is one of our tools, which is the spherical form, a little bit squashed, right? Squashed here and squashed there into a good old chicken egg type form. All right, so I'm thinking about it. Here's the kind of the back end or the butt end of it, right in through here. So this kind of curves over and this goes back into space, kind of this way, like so. All right, so what maybe can I do with this form further? Let's see, maybe I can go in a little bit deeper, and I'll move it over for you so we can see it. Now I can really get after it a little bit. By the way, I'm drawing with a gouache brush today. I like to draw with the painting brushes. I think they look kind of cool when you draw with them. So this is actually a cowl brush, and it's a gouache. It's a gouache one. It's not that important, but it's a gouache brush. Gouache is like opaque watercolor. All right, so I'm thinking across the form here in like the surface of this form. So I'm going to put some marks in my next smash up here and see what happens. And I want to start out now with maybe cubic type forms that start to emerge all over. So I'm thinking about little tiny boxes all over this guy. Tiny boxes all over. This is almost I could see this starting to look like a hand grenade. That's not the greatest thing in the world, but okay. Coming up and through here, and then maybe all of a sudden they can start to go into cylinder type form. So I'm drawing on the surface of a curved round surface, right? This is curving around. It's like an egg formed ball. And so maybe over here is a pyramid type form emerging from the surface of this object that I'm drawing, like so. Maybe like that. Okay, it's a three-sided pyramid in that case. And then remember, there's another rounded spherical form that's emerging with a little squared boxed off form. So every time I draw, I'm naming it. You don't have to do that to yourself, especially if your friends are around. But it's obviously I'm talking and drawing, demoing. So I've got to do that, and that's smart. And then I could even make this like an inside of a box. This could be, see the dimension that could go inside here even if I wanted to, right there and right there. So that goes down and even maybe, you know, deeper, you know, kind of right in there if I wanted to. Tighten this up a little bit. So I'm thinking about, you know, drawing these things on the surface of this eggy kind of form, but then all of a sudden I might take a dip in and cut out. And then this becomes, I'm thinking of a ball, right? And so I'll draw the ball, but I'm going to draw the divot or the opening thicker so you can see where I'm really going to wind up here, right? In through here. And then this is kind of like a crater. This kind of comes over and digs in. So I'm thinking this rounded form, and this might come, you know, down the surface or the inside, actually the other side of the ball, I would do this and come over like so. So that could be underneath in through there, which gives us a nice divot, a hole or opening. And I'll make this front part of the line a little bit darker because you can see that. So I conceived this as a ball and then took essentially a bite out of it right in through there. So we could keep on going. Maybe I'll make a cone that could be emerging in through here, right? It could be emerging around, right, like so, and then start to bleed off and get a little bit weird, maybe kind of in through there, like so, but this is rounded, right, in that way. So we have that. So I'm taking minor forms, smaller geometric forms, and then smashing it and manipulating on top of the other. So I could take this crater idea and pull it over here and say, okay, I want a big old opening right here. So now it's a cylinder top, right? It's right there. Here's my cylinder top, and my thinking this pyramid could come down, mold down, and all of a sudden it's going to go down into, right, this area, right, maybe right there. So see that? So, and this could go falling in, we fall down, and right in through there is like another opening. I'll make it a little bit darker. So now we have a real strong divot on the inside a little bit further that we could see. So I'll keep on coming around this way. And maybe I want to cut in a little bit here and maybe make it square. Okay, so I'm thinking about a box in through here. Box it up square. I can then open it back. So this is an opening right in through there later on, kind of like a little mouth maybe in through here. Maybe it's going to be a fish, like a puffy fish. Obviously, I'm fishing for ideas. I have no idea what I'm drawing. And hopefully you won't either. That's kind of the point of this, is to let the magic of your imagination come through as you're playing around with form. So this inside, you see where this is a box here, in here, in there, and there. So I was just drawing the outside. I was thinking about 3D forms, but letting it be a little bit more creative. So I might come up with like a divot, like a sort of a little bit of a sphere here, and then maybe another one on the outside. But then I might come up and say, okay, this is really an area where I could really use a push out of a form. So it's coming out of whatever it is whatever the heck it is I'm drawing right in through there. And so maybe this is a cone. This is the ending point of the cone right in through there. You see that? It's coming out in this kind of the opposite direction of that arrow. So we're coming out to it. I'll erase that arrow. Let's see, get it out of the way. There we go. Get it out if I can. There we go. We'll get it out of the way. Bingo. We'll go back. Okay. And then we'll draw this cone. Maybe end it about right in through. Here's the hub, sort of the hub of it right in through there. Okay. But then again, maybe it's got ball spherical forms on top of it. Maybe there's one here, and there's one here, and there's one really popping in through here, almost like warts, right? So you can see where this almost emerges as some kind of weird creature. but I'm not really haven't thought about it yet like that. So we're kind of drawing this silhouette where we're thinking about 3D forms that can emerge from it. And maybe I do a cutout like these craters, maybe right here. So a cutting into, so I might think of this as a deep cylinder that we're looking in on the inside of it, right in through there. So that goes into like the abyss there. Kind of looks like an eye. Maybe I don't like, maybe that's not good. So I'll take that out. I don't want you to think it's an eye, so. Don't worry about messing up. Just erase or just draw over and change it. So I'll just I'll close this in. Maybe that's better for now, and I'll put some more spheres on it. Maybe right in through here as an idea as we come through. So maybe this starts to come down. We need another, maybe an idea through here, so maybe another boxy kind of form in through here, kind of a 2-point box through here. If that came through, that would look like that. And then you could use your ruler. I could go back and tighten this up and through here. And some in through there, and then maybe this kind of comes down a little bit. And then maybe another one emerges. Maybe another boxy form is kind of over here, right in here, and here like so, and maybe there. And so we're starting to get the surface of this complex object. Now it's becoming a lot more complex, right, with our simplified kind of forms, and this moves down in this direction. So maybe this curls up in through here. It's going to be like that. And I'll go back and darken this in and put shadow on it too later, like so. It could be like that. Then we can come back and put another boxy form, maybe through here like so. And I'll make the plane change there, so this plane break would be there. Through. Yeah, let's see, maybe we have a cylinder type form emerging for the last one, and it closes up like there. The darkest part will be on the outside. I'll show that later on when I am toning. So as we come in a little bit, what can we do in through here? Well, maybe we make another strong opening like this crater, but we make it over here. So we're coming across, I'm thinking, you can see my line work and my nib. I'm thinking this way. But then I'm thinking about, okay, how can we open up a crater in through here, right? And this could be a foreshortened cylinder. As it comes down, we come down, and so this might be the ending of it, right in through here. But then I might say, you know what, instead of a rounded form back in the back of it, as we cut down right into the object, this might cut out to be a blocky form. So it might look like this. So we can always go from a rounded form to a blocky form in the blink of the form's eye. And so we can kind of feel this coming up a little bit, and then as it comes out, it gets rounded and gets smoothed out. We can do that through shading. We can come in through here, we can come up through there, and we can kind of round this through. So this could be a little bit more, later on it'll be a little bit darker in our composition. So we've made an outside sort of oval for a tube, and then as we come down into the sides of it, they've gotten what? They've gotten more boxy at the end of it as well. So maybe we could put some more little warts and things. This could come up and be like a rounded ball that goes back into a tube and through here. Maybe this rounds out, and this could do the same thing on the other side and through here. So we've got a smash up, but we're starting to get even more complex with our composition. And it's getting a lot weirder too, but I think that's the point, is to draw things out of our heads and just let it be weird. That's okay. Let yourself be weird. So let's say we can do a cone here. We can wrap it around through there. So there's going to be maybe a cone there, and then maybe, and this could fall in through here, maybe one more, just kind of a rounded sort of ball-like form and through there. Okay, I think we've got enough. Let's see what we've got in through here, and I can emphasize to you again this roundness, because we started out with an egg form. Kind of has a cool, kind of funky cartoon look. So it has an egg form, and all this was turned in through here. So I think when I put some light on this, I'm going to imagine the light source coming from, if you can imagine, from the top left, but in front of it. So out and around here, coming on into the object, but it's a little bit in front of it. So the shadows are going to be down below to the right. Okay, let's go for our tightening up of this, and let's see what the heck we've got here, right? All right, so we're coming through, and sometimes I'll follow along, sometimes I might want to change through here. You know, emphasize this rounded. See, I'm emphasize this rounded plane, even though and it's rounded through here, but what I have here is geometric and in hard edge. That's what makes the contrast of these I think fun examples so fun. And also drawing with the figures, you get a contrast between this hard edge right here and there, and then you automatically turn it into a curve or a soft curve or a curve. Watch this on the inside, right? So to emphasize the flow of the overall egg form. So what's the guiding form of all this? Well, the guiding form of everything here is the egg form, right? It's the biggest form out of all of it. So that's what we started out with. So we have a straight edge here, straight edge there, and then we curve it, right? We curve it and say, okay, I want you to curve right over and through there. And then, of course, that feels a little curve, like a cylinder, too, as well. Even it could have been a rectangle. And then we kind of made it into a cylinder. So we have a curved edge. Then we came back and did the same thing that we did earlier now on this form. And I could continue. I kind of like this idea. I kind of like this idea of curving over and through like so along this, especially the total backside of it as well. And then we can tighten this edge, make that nice and crystal clear edge, more clean, right and through there. And then I'll make these a little curved. I'll play around with the rhythm of here, and then I'll make this a box, but I'll curve the box just because I can, meaning that you're in control all the way through. This could curve over, this could come, and then I could actually just change the shape of this and make it even more strange, kind of curve this, and this means like there's a little hub right in through, like a little hump right in through there, and we can get ourselves into more weird, crazy stuff. Crazier the better, but just know that whatever you're doing at home, if you're a YouTube student or you're just interested in drawing, make sure that you're starting from a place of geometric, our tools, our solids, our sphere, our cylinder, our cube, and our cone. Here we go in through there. Okay. Sometimes I'll just hit random buttons and I'm like, whoop, where'd that come from? Okay, this can come. So we're still emphasizing this round kind of quality right in through there. So we've still got that, and I'll go and box this up. There's another box we were dealing with, whatever that is. I don't really care. We'll tighten that up right in through there. And I could emphasize roundness now with our form here and make this feel like, even though it's boxy, with just hatching lines, I can start to make it feel like it's even rounder right in through there. All right, so let's take this form, and I'm going to make it a little bit more of a cone. It's a cylinder. I'll make it a cone just for effect here and here. And then, so it's a real kind of a blunt one in through there. And there we go. Tighten that edge, and then we've got this cone coming through in through here, but I'm going to make it a little bit more stretched through here and around. You curve it through and over, and this is the point, the ending part of it. So we've got, I'm going to pull this cylinder and make it feel even more stretched, like we're coming up to this crater form. That cylinder, that underneath cylinder that we made, and through there. And we've got another wart. I'll start adding. What are warts in our drawing? I know what warts are. They're spheres, right? They're just simple, round, spherical forms. And through here, to there. Okay. There we go. And so we put just circles, and now that they make spheres throughout our drawing. We have another one kind of emerging here, and you can see where, again, I want to keep. Now across here I don't, because this cylinder comes across, right? So I'll do some cross hatching marks, or hatching marks, to say, hey, this is a tube of the cone running in this direction, of course, across in this direction here, right? And so we come over and say, okay, this comes across, but when I'm starting to hatch my lines, this is a rounded form, so I'm going to start to come back over this way, right, and through here, make that rounded right in through there. And so we're taking a look back, and boy, am I getting weird, and I love it. I love being weird. Let your weirdness show through, right? Your freak flag, if you will. What I mean by that is let your imagination run. I can see that this later on will be a closed plane, so I'll go ahead and block that in. I'll put some tone on it with a little bit less opacity and a little bit thicker, wider nib. So remember, this was we opened this up. We opened this kind of like a mouth thing in through here, and I was thinking of a box. You can see the red part that's more transparent right in these areas. There's my straight line and through there. So that's the blocky kind of form. Almost I guess it's starting to look like a fish, isn't it? I think that's what's kind of starting to emerge. And so this form was kind of a tube, rounded form into here. And then this was kind of a egg form, a blocky form, a tube. It gets really rounded here, right? And then it gets more of a tube-like as it comes down. And then, most complex forms are like that. They have their beginnings, and then they have their simple beginnings, and they get more complex as they go through. So let's work around our edge a little bit more. So we have the organic quality of the egg coming through here, like so. And I could emphasize that with a little bit of hatching this way, like so. Got that coming through. So I think I'll pull this down just a little bit so I can get to a little bit better. There we go. Hard edge, right? And this is where we made it go down into the surface, but it was square, right? So here and there, and all this goes down into this little area down and through here. And this could even hub up and over and kind of feel like that, right? And then have a little bit of a curve going in of this sort of blocky structure coming up like so. And so we used and are using our simple tools to create surface variations on our little, what I'm starting to see now is kind of a creature. Okay, and this is a tube in through here, And we came in and we imagined this as a ball through here, coming down. I'm going to overlap that a little bit, make that look like a flowy overlap. And this was a cutout, and this curved underneath like a bowl. And so you could imagine something, you know, maybe coming in to that form that way. So let's continue on. I'll probably go a little bit faster. I want to get to a few more. So anywhere along the video, speed it up, find a place where you like. If you don't like one thing I'm drawing, find another if you like. And if you don't like any of it, then don't watch it. Go on to another video or another artist. So we've got that kind of a cone there. And then let's take care of this big one. Now I'm going to make this a little more organic instead of just rounded, because I think that'll be fun. And so we took the rounded oval cylinder opening idea and we made the bottom of it boxy, but to give it more variety, let's make this kind of these boxy sort of cutout tubes going down into this abyss of this little floor opening or whatever this is. And I did that by just starting to imagine the ends here is a little bit more organic and around, okay? But then I'm going to contrast that with the bottom of this abyss that we're drawing as more of a box form here and here, just to give it contrast, for example. And there's the bottom there, here, and there. Okay, this might curve like so. So we're almost there with the drawing here. And so that was kind of a boxy sort of pyramid right through there and over. And this got to another one, and we'll do the same thing with it just for variety. We'll take that opening and we'll say, okay, this might be better looking and more interesting as a cutout series of openings. And then they have their place as they go down in space into this crater divot. It's like the side of a crater or a mountain. Well, it goes all the way down, and then the bottom may end up with a lake or something, but it's just a disc, right? This kind of goes into it, right in through there. And so we have an opening. And so instead of raising on top of the surface like these, right, we go down into the surface like so. And later, in a moment, I'll shade this. Maybe I'll do the same thing here just for effect, and we'll do one more just really quickly. And it goes down into there. And then this is like a big cone-like wart coming over it and through here. So we've got that. This kind of comes down. This kind of comes, and these will be kind of stretched out a little bit. All right, so there you go. So now we've got the drawing of the form. So it got a lot more complex, and I think, in my opinion, a lot more fun, which I've enjoyed drawing the other ones. But now I want to put a little shading over it. So I'm going to go back to my brush, and I'm going to go for a thicker brush. Let's see. So maybe let's see, 90 or something. Yeah, that might be too much. Maybe a little bit smaller. Yeah. Okay, 60s sounds good. And I'm going to take my opacity way down so I can build this up a little bit further. I can show you a little bit. So, all right. So remember that our light source is in front of the object. So it's hard to show you without looking at me, but it's in front of us, right? And it's where we're looking at, but it's pushed over to the left. So everything coming down, this downward area, is going to be in shadow. And so I'm going to start at the bottom where that shadow is, and through all this will be in shadow here. Most of this could be in shadow where these forms are too as well. And this will give you another idea, hopefully a better idea of, again, making these forms, 3D and real life. So I'm just thinking first about the egg form, okay? So as I shade it, that three-dimensional quality of our largest form, which is our egg, okay? And so these areas on the lighter side may have some light, so I'm going to leave them for now. And I used a lower opacity or a lower number so I could go back and layer these on a little bit easier, and I could go ease into the dark a little bit. So the light source is from the top left and a little bit at front. So bottom of most of our forms and slightly to the right will be a little bit darker, but I might change that a little bit for aesthetic effect since we're just drawing from imagination. Okay, and I think I'll make this inside mostly dark except for maybe where it gets down, of course, to the bottom. I might lighten it up a little bit. So lighter on the left, darker on the right and through here. And then I'll start to get a little darker up and over. This is just the surface of a ball or an egg form that we're going over. Right in through in our weird Smashup, our great Smashup drawings. Great world Smashup drawings. All right, so then I might put, this side maybe in a little bit more of a shadow for now. Be right in through here. And this could be just slightly in shadow. On this other side, we'll receive more of the light here in a minute. I'll do the same thing over through here. A little bit more shadow in through here, and I'll put that light. And then maybe right in through now as we're coming across over, this could go and put a little bit more shadow. So let's see how we're doing in through here. Okay, this could come down. I could emphasize the width, and then I go back the other way to emphasize the roundness back towards the underneath a little bit. Okay, so now we're starting to see a three-dimensional object emerge. So let me spend just a little bit more time and we'll make it even a little bit clear with our drawing. So I'll take now the opacity and I'll go a little bit darker. I'll push it to like 25 or so, 24, 25, 26. And play around with that even a little bit further and make it a little bit darker in certain areas, maybe right in through here as we work on our sketch. Through here maybe a little bit. Really push that in, and this is going to be all darker, but this other plane right here will be even darker than the other one, just a little bit further, just to show that depth and distance coming through. Hope you guys are having fun. I'm having fun with this. It's really just all imagination. And that's what this drawing channel, our drawing database is about observation and perceptual drawing, drawing from imagination, drawing from memory, and observation to get you to a much more fulfilled and enriched level of drawing. And hopefully later on we'll add painting videos. It'll be a while. Practice within your subset of skills, so you can go on to concepts that are deep and rich. So I've got this area which is weird. It's kind of is it a top or a bottom? I'm gonna actually, it was a tube, a pyramid. So I'm gonna make this one a little bit more, a little darkened through here, and I'm gonna actually make this. I'm gonna shade it a little bit rounder so it feels a little bit round, even though it squares off. Why? Because you can do that. We can make these a little bit darker, and through here in our concept sketch. Let's make this a little bit darker through there. Put a little bit of dark cast shadow on that, and just having fun playing with three-dimensional forms and now space. And seeing what we can do with it. And this comes over, we'll put a little shadow form in here. Maybe this could create a little, I'll take a little lesser nib and maybe make a little cast shadow from the wart out through here, so it's casting over. That really tells us then where the direction of our light is. So if I did the same thing over here, made it a little bit darker, made it a hard edge, put a little cast shadow on the edge, look at that. That tells us, it gives us even a clear story of what's going on for sure. And through there, you put some hatch lines across here. Hatch lines across here, because we're on the surface what? When I'm drawing here, we're on that big egg, right? We're on that big egg. Through here. Coming down. And I might put a little bit more shadow. Let's go back to a little thicker nib. Back in the 60s here. And then over. And then put a little, so it gives it a little bit more of a darker shadow on that cone-like form. And then let's just play a little bit of quick little shadow marks on the sides of our little spherical forms to make them a little bit rounder. Through here, make that darker and through that plane, really pull that out. And could we put a little cast shadow on some of these little cone-like warts? And through there, maybe I could do this here, like so, and then push this down, or the shadow darker, I mean, right in through there, so it gives that little form. And then what about in through here, our crater? I'm going to leave the bottom part of this bowl, the crater bowl, illuminated. It's like it's receiving a little reflected light, or there's like a light surface down in it. So maybe this is like a big funky meteor flying through space. Who knows? I don't know what it is, but I like drawing it. And then lastly, let's go for that center crater form, and let's see what I can do to bring some of this out. So I know this is more in shadow, so I'll push these deeper. These are like the valleys. And then next to it here to the bottom, that's like the rising part. So I'll leave that, make it really light, so the light's hitting it more. This is a valley. So what are we saying then? These are they're turning like cylinders. They're going over, they're going underneath. They're just like the surface of a cylinder. That's all we're doing. And this is like the underneath a little bit here. Okay, this kind of goes down, then it goes over, and then there's a little shadow that it might cast. And then all this over here is going to be more in light, so I'll keep this lighter. I'll put a little bit more shadow on this end and through here. Maybe a little bit of shadow in the corner of the plane of our box, that downward box, and through here. Some hatched marks to turn the egg form around, because remember, we're on an egg form. The major form that we had, that we started out with, was what? Was an egg form. Okay, and I think we're just about there. I don't think we can do much more than that. I think I'll leave it, and there we go. Okay. All right, so that came out pretty weird, huh? That's the point of the lecture, is to really begin to start to see these ideas in an abstract way, in hopefully a fun way for you, and to just allow yourself the pleasure of creation without so much observation. So there's our next set of objects, and I'm going to keep on going and fill this page up, and you can fast forward as much as you want and go to any form or series of forms that you want. But again, we're doing the great form smash up across the world here. We're looking at 3D objects, and we're using them as tools, right? Tools to allow ourselves to create new forms from these smash ups. All right? Okay, so now I want to go on to another drawing. So moving down here a little bit, let's try another one. So I might try a little bit different strategy just to show you that. I might try a little gesture first. So we have been doing or talking about a lot of gesture, and I should too. I should show you that maybe I want my form to move in this direction, right? So I'll do a drawing here, and then we'll do another set of drawings here, and then we'll do another one here. So I've already got an active quality to it. Boom, there's action through there. There's action that's going here and maybe out towards that way, and maybe this one's coming up through here and then out through there. So I've got gestural directions, meaning that you've given yourself a series or a subset of movements to where you want your forms to go into space, and I think that's particularly important too as well. So maybe this first one could start out as kind of a tube, maybe in through here, maybe get tapered, and then really get tapered. So this is the tube part I'm thinking about, right in through here, tube coming over in this direction, so it gets tapered a little bit, like so. And then we can come on down and say, this is another tube, but it's going in a slightly different direction. And then maybe we just cut it off. So it was two tubes, one really large, right here's the back end of it, and then here was its outside point, and then it was molded into another tube, kind of like that. And here's the ending of it, kind of right in there in that direction. And then maybe what's inside of it, and again, I'm just making this up, winging it, so to speak. Maybe what starts out of it is a boxy kind of plane form, like really thin. So we see that, and then maybe it's moving down in this direction, like so. And so its plane is like that, and then we come over maybe like that, and then I'll connect up with it here and here. Remember, this is really, looking at this, the entire page is really it's a great sketchbook exercise. I see that. I mean, it really is. And so we're going to fill up this page as the lecture, and with these form exercises. And let's see what we can continue to do with it here. So we've got that. We can move through here and through here. So what else can we do? So we want to get to this direction. So maybe we come over and maybe I want to flutter out in this direction. So these are sub-gestures, right? So we had the main gesture coming through, and now we have sub-gestures that move us in this direction. So maybe we have two over and through here, like so. So maybe coming over here is another kind of boxy plane in through here, like so. So we have that boxy kind of plane that I'm just kind of winging it on. I don't know again exactly what I'm doing. And then maybe, let's say this could come over, and this whole area under here is an egg form, right? And then another egg form overlapping it together where it changes directions. And that's probably hard for artists to see. Where I'm overlapping in red here is where that object is changing direction. So here it was before, right? And then it moves into this boxy component up and through here. So we did a lot of form shifting really in one little movement there, here to there, and then to there. So I think this exercise, again, if you're just picking up the video here, if you've seen the other ones, I think this is really important not to be drawing objects. Just draw what comes from your imagination and let that happen. Because I don't want you to get too trapped into making it look like something and then get frustrated that you can't do it yet. We all have that, but I think this is more of an exercise in the concepts of form and form space, three-dimensional manipulation as they move and they come into each other. Like this is a tube and then that's a tube, and how do they come together? They get smashed up because they overlap in some way. Maybe there's another tube right in through there where they get smashed up in together, and they make this really cool intersection of dimensional kind of forms. That's part of the issue of it. And so maybe we'll come down in through here and say, okay, maybe these are going to be blocky kind of forms in through here and down, coming across, and maybe there's going to be another blocky form in this direction. But I want the overall flow of my forms to come back to this overall gesture back in through there, right? So maybe I'll have another set of a block-like form here to there, like so. And so it's all kind of emerging somehow over here. So I'll pick that up. This can come down and in, down and in. Okay, and over, and then somehow we'll try to make an outlined form of all this, together, and see what that happens together. And so I might push then this side. This could be a tube. This could be a cylinder coming out through here. There could be another cylinder, coming out in that direction, and quite possibly even another one, later on. And then what you do, the textures and things that you add on top can be, your own, and that's really kind of for another lecture at another time, even how drawing, there's so much we can talk about in drawing that there really is. There's really not there's I don't think there's any limit to the amount of videos that we can make to show hopefully interesting and specific examples of what can happen in drawing, and we'll just continue to do these over a long period of time. All right, so now I'll go back to a darker pen, and I'll start to tighten this up a little bit and see what can be made of all this. So this could coming down in through here. So this is like this was a big cylinder with the back end closed and the front end right in here opened. Right, so we saw that, and everything the lengthwise was coming back and moving in this direction. Like so, right? Like that. And then we made another one, and we changed the direction of our tube here, right? And we said, okay, it's going to move a little bit, whoop, whoop, and go in that direction through here. So I changed it a little, changed the direction of it. So we went here to there, and then we made another ending ellipse for our cylinder to move through in that direction here and there. So we had that nice and completed. And so now we're going to connect it weirdly to this box here form. So I could actually extend it maybe even further, and then it gets planar right in through here, and this kind of becomes a plane, and then down, and then maybe I'm gonna make that a curve to make a plane. This is kind of a little darker area underneath there, and so I'll make that a nice tight edge here, there. Kind of I'm finding the outside too, the inside, but also the outside silhouette too as well. So that might have something here. So push down, and this comes around like so, and that might overlap like that. Like so. Into here, into here. So we're taking the observational quality out of this lesson, which is good. Drawing, perception, observation are very strong, but you need other techniques and examples too. Here and here, and then this is a tube, and through that we can come down, and I can make this hard edged in through here. And then we have this rounded form that comes out and emerges like a ball, like a peanut form maybe, if you see the tube. And so this might stretch in this direction, and you start to feel this, and then all of a sudden it comes over. See that here and then over, here and then over and over. This is like a globe, and so that's hard to see, and that's important to see when changing planes and changing not only planes but changing forms. So right in through here where it's tight and hard edged, you see that. What do you see? You see this curve, and I can emphasize it more, go even more so. And then it ends, and it comes back to a hard edge, which is a tube, and then it changes directions in here. So it comes over, it's coming around right there and there. And then when it comes to here, we come down, and then this curls over. So that's important to see in my concept as well. And you can draw with me, and these are meant to be drawn along with, but you can also go on your own when you get a good feel for it, and make your own and have a good time. Go anywhere you want, get quiet space, and just start drawing forms. And then people will come over and say, "What are you drawing?" And I said, "Marc made me do this." Good. And I will say, good. I'm glad you told them that, because I want you to practice, and this is a great way to practice without the responsibility, right, of drawing exactly what you see. You're drawing out of your imagination, but you're still practicing the craft of and technique of drawing. All right, so we have this globe form into the cylinder form, and then we can come back over and we can kind of feel, maybe this gets stretched and it comes over, and this gets stretched through here like so. We can make some hatch lines to show that that's a form change, and that comes over this way. And this is going to be overlapping everything and through here. And I can draw downward and through there. And so that comes over, and this kind of turns like a ball or side of a peanut into here. Right, it's like so. Got that. Tighten up that edge. We're kind of on our way, so I'll bring it over just a little bit. Center screen, right in through there. And it starts to look like some kind of figure, doesn't it? And that's okay too. These can turn out looking like animation and cartoon figures. So the point of all this was to, in some ways, relate it back to animation as a very simple smash-up tool. And I think we are. It may not seem like that, but these are what animators do as well, is combine all of these forms to make different forms. If you go into my lessons in the figure section, you'll see the section on the lima bean, and that's a great example of what we're doing here. The lima bean is about the torso, the rib cage, the abdomen, and the pelvic region. And from almost any viewpoint, it can look like a lima bean type 4 in expansion and contraction. So we're doing the same thing, but we're making it in some ways even more simplified here. Now these are all geometric, right? So these can all be different forms of boxes, but I'm going to change things here. I'm going to take this and curve it and connect it and go underneath a little bit here, around, maybe round that out just for effect. And through here, you can take this over. And so we're seeing forms that are jammed, collected together that sometimes make a form. I'm going to curve this here underneath and curve this, connect this here underneath through there. I'm going to take my opacity up just a little bit, pressing down hard. Okay, through here, and there, and around. And I'm going to connect up here a little bit in a weird kind of way, I think. Or maybe not. Let's see. I can do that. And these can kind of come over, and then here's the plane I'm looking at, but then it smushes and curves and flows downward, which is opposite from this flow or curve of up of the ball form we were using too as well. So we'll curve down. Do there, do there. So I'll make this an ending blocky form. We've also seen that, well, what have we done? We've continued the curvature of our gesture. Our overall gesture governed everything, and that was important. That's what we wanted. That was our first place to start out, right? Was that. So we have this going back in space there. This might get curved a little bit underneath. All right, and I'm just starting to think about a little bit of a lighting situation through here. So let's light it a little bit. So let's take our nib and then go thicker to about, let's go 70, 60, 65, 66, 67. Keep our opacity maybe a little bit lighter, 24, 25, and let's just go for it. And so now I'm working up here with the top form and through here, and I might just put a little, that could be kind of a highlight, turn this over a little bit through here, and I'm thinking about just taking it around through there. So I'm kind of conceiving of the light source as kind of coming in the middle of everything. So it's very in front. It's kind of where I'm viewing and seeing. That's where I kind of see that light source as emerging. And then we'll kind of come through here, a bit darker and around. Maybe turn that over and through here, turn around. So you want the forms to start to come alive and start to visualize a little bit, or a lot of bit actually. Through here. You can see this as a side plane. Push that back a little bit and push this, give a little hatching marks, which I like to use in these structure kind of demonstrations. It really shows what plane is being turned to what, in what direction. This is going from left to right. Then I can start to turn the cylinder to here. This is the dark end maybe. And this has a little, maybe a cast shadow, so this gets a little darker. And all of a sudden, these can really curve over to tell a story about cylindrical dimension. This might get dark underneath here. And then we can start to say, okay, we can turn around this ball. This gets smoothed out and through here, right? 'Cause that's what we wanted. This gets rounded in through here and through there. This might curve around just a little bit to show the line. I can soften that up a little bit. Put a few sketch marks to soften that and darken this. Show a core shadow and a turn right in through there, right? And then we can come across here and then give us a little bit of direction with our cylinder. See how I do it in two different directions? I do it curved around this way, and then here I do it long ways. It just shows one is length, this is length, and this is kind of width. There are two ways you can do that. You can do a little bit of both, but sometimes they fight each other a little bit, and so if you crosshatch, they can fight a little bit. I'm not the biggest crosshatch fan, although I like artists who use crosshatch well. For some reason, sometimes it comes out, it kind of gives my drawings a static look, so they kind of defeat one another, but I'm not anti-crosshatch by any means. So through here, it gives that dark form, this peanut form kind of sort of to pop out a little bit further. You see that? Go darken through here, darken through here, darken through here. I know I'm going faster, but I wanted to, while I've got you here, keep on moving. And this can be toned down a little bit this way, and then this one, this plane here, from here all over, I'll make dark. So I'll darken this in one tone. That's another way to do it. And then I'll go back and add another layer of tone. And then when I feel like I've got it close, then I can start to make a few marks to hold off my pen. So every time my pen takes off the surface, it will add a layer of darkness. If I keep holding it down and move all over, it will add one value. That's the Wacom tablet way of interpreting drawing. That gives me some underneath drawing in through there, and I'm just about finished. Let's get a few glossy hatch marks over this direction for that way, and then we're going to move back right in that way. Nice lighter marks. This could be a little bit darker here, and then underneath I'll go even darker, so I'll kind of fill this in, and then just a little bit darker right under here. Really quick, kind of sketchy technique in through there. And then I'll leave this sort of semi-dark, like a reflective, in through here. And then this plane change is really important, so I'll make sure that that's nice and dark. And then I'll go back and say, okay, let's take a lighter line and let's make it really crisp. So maybe in the teens, and then I'll bump up my opacity to about 40-ish, and I'll go really fast and say, okay, where some of these plane changes I want to be really strong, I take the opacity up to 70, 71. Where I want them to be really strong, I'll even go back and tighten my line work. Tighten in through here, tighten and darken. Even though I'm say tightening, I'm actually drawing faster probably than any of the other drawings. And through here in the head a little bit, over here to the bottom of that tube. I say head, it's kind of like a creature. Here a little bit. I'm down here in the boxes, and through here, go away. There and there. There and there, just to give it a little extra kick, and I could put a little extra cross-hatching line in through there. Just to separate them and make them a little bit crisper. Right into there. And then right here at the bottom and downwards. And I think that helped to realize our form a little bit better. Okay, so there's another one. Let's go on to a few more over here, and let's take a look and see what we can do with these bad boys. Kind of like they're almost like action lines, drawing like balls or something. You know, like an animation. This one almost kind of reminds me of through there. So I'll put a little bit of more hatching right through there. Okay, let's go back to find our red. which was FF 6E 6E. Okay, and let's take our opacity down to about 20, 24, 25. Our nibs feels pretty good. Okay, we're ready to roll. So what are we going to do here? So we've got this bouncy kind of quality, don't we? So it moves in this direction, moves in that direction. So maybe all of our forms should look like they're kind of going in that direction. Maybe we start out with like a boxy form and start to curve it a little bit through here. And all of a sudden, it starts to take on a tube-like form. So it starts to curve and curve around and curve around and curve like so, right? So we have that kind of quality. And maybe right up here, this was and can be a more rounded form. So right in through there. So it's like a little egg form that got jammed into this boxier kind of form in through here, and maybe I make this boxy form come out like a pyramid-ish shape right here. Bring it in, bring it over, bring it down, right? Bring it over, bring it down. All of a sudden you start to, and all of a sudden it look like either a snake or some kind of spaceship. I don't know. I'll try not to make it look like too much like something. Although you might like that, but I want to try to keep it as abstract, relatively abstract as I can. So this kind of runs around in this direction. And so now I'm thinking about concentric tubes, right, overlapping and foreshortening here, around, right, around. It's like a slinky, snaky thing. But then I'm going to say, uh-oh, it's going to be a box. So I'm going to make it a box right there, right, and right there. So I've got that in my head that I'm doing. And then what happens if it goes whoop like this and goes up a little bit and then comes up and then down to there? So I could go up now with, let's go with the tube again. So we go up with a tube, and then we create more kind of ball-like forms here and here. They're connected, but they're overlapping, right? And they continue to do that. They continue to do that. Here, let me get that line tight right here so you can see it. Darken that in a little bit further, and then get this line tight right in through there so you can see it to there, and then covered over. And boom, that's there, that's there, that's there. And now we can move to where it touches and then it comes up and over, kind of into itself. It's just a series of rounded ball forms, right? Beads, if you will, and they're all overlapped, so we don't see all of them. They come down, I can get a boom, and that's where it hits, could be the proverbial ground, kind of like that. And then maybe it goes back into a boxy form here. We see the top, and then we see the side here, okay? And then maybe up with maybe a pyramid-like form that goes into a point, maybe there, okay? And then so again, we're following the flow of our initial gesture, right, which was right in that direction. And then so let me bring it over a little bit to the camera screen so we can see it. Maybe I'll go up a little bit, and now we can really see it. And then we can kind of move. So see how sketchy and loose I'm keeping that, and fairly light too as well. And then we can come back down maybe with some more connecting ball-like forms or egg-like forms, and then maybe end out with maybe a tube. So this maybe does kind of be like a weird sort of snake in a way. Okay, and that's the closed end of a tube, cylinder tube. It looks like kind of like that. So we have here would be the closed end of it with another ball in front of it. Okay, so now let's go and take and darken this in a little bit and see what we've got. So we take this, I'll go back to our black in through here, back in black, right? And then we'll go back to a brush, and let's go up in our opacity to the 30s and then a little bit thicker. Okay, and let's see what we have in through here. Let's go for it. Maybe a little bit too thick, maybe down a little bit. There we go. And let's see what happens. So we're always playing off contrast with our forms from round, right? So this ball-like form, or almost kind of ball-like form, here's maybe the apex, the top of it, right in through there, down, and around. So it's kind of like a dome. The whole ball, if it was a true sphere, would be, let's see, right in through, out a little bit further, maybe in through there. So maybe it's doming right there to there, and then coming over like so. Right, and then we could take, actually we could take this idea, watch this, we could take where it meets here and then give it a straight line and maybe make it a split. We could split it into two, and so this now could come down as a shaved device, or shaved out part of it right in through there. And then to show that even further, to show how this sits, maybe it sits on this boxy form right in through here and goes back in space, and we only see it maybe like that, and maybe kind of like that, if we will. We're just kind of sketching. This went down in through here, and this could get darker, right? This could curve. This could curve. And then this plane, as I'll tighten this up again, here a little bit, and here on the edges, a little darker, and then this comes at a direction down like that. And so now we slice that. We cut out a slice of that cylinder, or excuse me, that ball form. And so now we have that. Then we can come over and tighten this to that. Whoops. One day I'll correct that problem. Sorry. It's not too bad, but it's annoying to me. Okay, so I'm going to overlap this a little bit, curve this over, curve that down. Okay. In this, to emphasize even more of the curve, I could just hatch that. See how I'm hatching it, a little bit more of a curve, and it automatically gives it kind of a puffiness, like it was a softer form maybe. And then we can come over here and drive this over this way, drive this in to kind of fulfill our geometric part of what this was. Maybe that could go up a little bit more like that, like that. And I'm just following what I'm doing, and through here maybe this is going to be pulled back a little bit, and maybe there's a little deep, maybe there's a little deeper part like in through here. And this could be all in dark and back in through like so. This comes out and around like so. Okay, so we have that to that. All right, so now we're cooking. So let's go back a little bit and see what we can continue to emerge. We'll pull this back so we can see it. All right, so this is kind of another rounded form, and then like a tube, like a cylinder, right? And then we rounded it through, and so that's what we're seeing way back in there, like so that. And this kind of came up, didn't it? This in this direction through here, and so this tube maybe kind of sort of ended right here, and then this hole, there's another big ball form that I was thinking, smashing and grouping together like that. And maybe there is another one just to have a little bulbous bodied area. I kind of see this as some kind of robotic sort of lizard snake thing in through here. And then, sorry if you don't like snakes, my wife hates them. Oh my gosh, she hates them. She's so scared of them, but she's doing better. All right, so in through here and through there, and so this turns like so. Give a little bit more expression through there. See how it starts to come together. And so I'm just thinking about tubes in spherical forms that are overlapped here and then around. This could be a tube or cylinder, right? And through here, and this comes around and way foreshortened. Okay, right in through there. Go away, and then we have that coming through. Right, and then I conceive it as coming back into a blocky form. I'm going to merge it together here, and then make it blocky, curve it in, and I'm going to here and here, and then I'm going to tighten it up with a little bit of that ruler quality here and there, and then merge this. When I say merge, I'm going to curve it together. And so this turns this way, and this one turns that way. See the difference? Over, and then this turns under, like so. And this is kind of the information in between it. This comes through and over like that, and then we can start to, I'll shade this one a little bit, like so. And let's pull it over so we can see it. Got to get the tail of whatever this thing is. So this was a tube, right? Right there, and then a ball. All of these are balls, right? Boom. So maybe the light source, looks like I'm conceiving it kind of from the leftish coming down on the object. So ball, a little bit darker on the bottom side. Ball, right? Another ball lighter on the top, a little bit darker on the bottom. Highlight could be there if I was doing, a painting later on. And through here, darker in the bottom. Lights are top darker, right? Really dark maybe into here. Almost all the way through, and this one might even be all the way dark. In that sense, so we really get that hidden quality through it there. Maybe all the way kind of dark. And underneath, and then one overlaps here, and then they start to lighten up a little bit on the top edge, top end of it. Another ball in through there. And these all are darker. Okay. Like so. That one seemed to emerge. So what you're getting, they rounded, these are all just basically sketchy spheres, aren't they? It's really all they are, and I'm going to put them all in shadow. To here, tone them in really quickly. Like so. And then we'll go back to this. I'm repeating this kind of motif right into here, right? And so I'm going to take this up and over, and this kind of comes together. I'm molded into a pyramid just to show you how that could happen, like so. And we'll pull this over so we can see it. Maybe that was too big, huh? Go back down. Okay. Whoops. Got to hit the brush before I draw. Otherwise, we're going to go on a roller coaster. There we go. So back up in through here, kind of geometric, right? And then I can tone that side in. Hit this side. And again, these are what? More balls. More spherical type forms in through here. A little darker right in through there. Mostly lighter on the top, darker on the bottom. A little shadow in through there. Light sources over here. Alright, to here. This one lights over, so darker under here. Pretty light right through there. And then we end off with kind of another tube to here, and then it was captured up like so, rounded out like so in that direction, and a little bit of shading length and width. And there we go. So let's see let's put it back over, minimize it just a little bit and see what we've got. So what we've got another form smash up. It kind of was like some kind of robotic, weird sort of, kind of cartoony figure. And they all kind of look like that, don't they? They all start to, look like a little like animation. So let me step backwards. I was doing a little erasing there. So they all have a look like this particular style, right? Animation. Animators use this all the time. Now, this angle of the opening is a little bit diagonal, which I kind of like, although it might line up better with this line here, but that's okay. I'll put a little bit more value. To here, make it my focal point, make it a little bit chrome-like. I'll put some darker value there and then fade it off, and then kind of get these bar things going. It looks kind of a little bit more like metal, maybe a little. Through here. Okay, all right, so let's go on to our last one. So let's move on down to this one here and see what we can make with it. So I might do a couple of sub gestures with it. I might do something that looks a little bit like maybe it's got some more armatures with it here. So the main gesture, right, is in this flow. We see that totally. We got that. But I might say maybe there's a subflow this way with a gesture, and then there's a subflow, you know, this way with the gesture too. And maybe I'll make really some kind of animal, and then there's going to be another flow this way and out. So what I might conceive of, so I've got this armature gesture, right? You can almost kind of see it emerge, and so maybe this is going to be a tube here, right? And then this is going to be an egg form here, right? And then this whole thing, as it smashes up, is going to be one big egg form here. And then the other is going to be another big egg form here. So we've got an egg form, a tube, another egg form, and maybe this is going to be a cone here, right? Running through there and over. So we've got a cone to look at. And then maybe on the back end of what could be like legs, maybe this is going to be another cone or tube. Maybe a little bit of both, and then a boxy triangular wedge right in through here. And then maybe, so we have this gesture moving in this direction. So the same thing, maybe a cone or a tube-like form in through here. And then coming on down, maybe this would end, I don't know, maybe something like that to maybe a wedge out in through there like that. So we're drawing some kind of maybe dinosaur type animal. I have no idea. Just kind of sketching around. And then this might end in a tube, and then going back maybe in a wedge like that. All right, so let me make these forms now in their simplicity a little bit more realized. And so let's go back over it now in our black form like we've been doing. And let's see, let's make our opacity maybe just a little bit darker in through there. So let's take a look and see what we had. So here was the egg form, right? In through here, big old egg. Right in through there. And this was our cone type form, right? Right in through here. Okay, and these are, by the way, a bunch of ellipses, right? Look at that. Just the ellipses everywhere. Look at that. Ellipse, 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 ellipse coming across. And then this was another cone or cylinder coming in this direction, like so. And a wedge, triangular wedge for this sort of foot. And then another egg. You can see it through here. It's way over here. There it's at. In the back part of our leg, there was the other cylinder in through there within a wedge going in opposite direction here. So boxy kind of wedge going in that direction. And then here we've got a tube. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, get a little bit clear about what I want to do with that. I don't like this area here. So maybe we had this down, and then maybe the wedge was coming, let's see, maybe in this direction, and then maybe back out in that direction for something of his, yeah. I'm satisfied with that for now. With his foot, and then his neck was a tube, or her neck, you could. This way, tube, this way, tube over, and then curve through. So now we found that. So look at those forms starting to come through. And then this is an egg form, or it could be a box. Here's this, could be the side plane of the box right in here, like so, moving over, and then maybe the front plane of the face is through here. And so maybe the muzzle of what could be a mouth is a cone, like so. You could split that in two. And we'll put little ear type things. These are egg forms, and through here, and all of a sudden we're on our way, kind of cooking with it. So let's do a little shading now, and so we'll take our nib and go a little bit wider, take our opacity down a little bit, and just start to shade these forms out. So let's say again that our light source is up here and shining down on our object. So everything in through here might start to become in shadow, right in through here and on over down through. Right through here, a little coarse shadow. Coming through, and all this might be in shadow. And through here, darker in through there. And then emphasize that egg form through here. Cylinder form. Right around. And coming through. This could all be in shadow. This could all be mostly, in shadow and through here. And same thing through there. And up around, and we'll put this side of the head in shadow. Underneath and through there. And we're starting to get a realized sort of concept of maybe a toy design or soft, kind of dinosaur-y looking, kind of animal for kids, something very playful maybe as well. And I can continue to play around with these shadow shapes a little bit, egg form. So what have we done? We've done the great form smash up here in this lesson. So we've learned how to begin the hopefully creative and fun process of really not worrying about what you draw and what comes out, but yet worrying more about how can you be creative in your use and your managing of looking for forms in space as they relate to one another and relate to other kind of forms together, and smash them up in ways that maybe you haven't seen before. And they can be a lot of fun to quite frankly play around with and use as conceptual basis for more important work later on. So that was the lesson today. So I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's take a look at the entire sketch page here before we leave off and see what we did. And then we'll go from there. So let's get it back here. And so we've got an entire sketch page of forms in space, smashed up forms in our sketchbook using our tools, right? Our three-dimensional tools. The cube, the sphere, the cylinder, the cone, the pyramid. They're all your best friends, really. And they'll be with you for the life of your drawing. Okay, so there you go. Hope you had fun with it. Practice these. Enjoy the process of just letting things happen. Where they happen is what happens. And don't worry about messing up. Don't worry about, making things that you may or may not understand. I'll understand what's going on. And hopefully you'll get to see that this process is very enriching, and it gets you to the next step to your deeper understanding in drawing practice. All right, so that's enough. I'm talking too much. Okay, you guys take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.